Maya had always known David as her mother's calm, steady husband. A man off few words, but a heart full of quiet kindness. When her mother took a work contract overseas for a year, Maya expected their home to feel empty. Yet it didn't. David's presence filled the spaces, not with noise, but with warmth, at 22. Maya was still figuring out her life. College had ended. Yet she felt adrift. Her part-time job at a bookstore barely covered expenses, and her recent breakup had left her emotionally drained. One evening, she sat in the living room, head buried in her hands. "You okay?" David's voice was gentle, yet firm. He stood in the doorway, a cup of tea in each hand. Maya forced a smile. "Just tired." David sat beside her, setting one mug down on the coffee table. "You've seemed off lately," he said quietly. "If you ever need to talk." The kindness in his tone chipped away. "The pride, I just feel stuck," she confessed, "like I'm walking in circles and can't figure out where I'm supposed to be." David nodded thoughtfully. "I've been there," he said. "When I was your age, I quit my job because I thought I wanted something different. Turns out I was just scared of failing where I was." Maya blinked. "I didn't know that." He smiled, faintly. "Your mom's always been a talker." Over the next few weeks, David's quiet presence became something Maya leaned on. They'd often find themselves sharing late dinners, laughing at random memories, or chatting about books they both loved. David's insights surprised her. He seemed to understand her fears without judgment, offering advice without pressure. One chilly evening, Maya stood in the kitchen staring blankly at the empty fridge. "Pizza?" David asked, appearing beside. Her sounds perfect. As they waited for the delivery, Maya sat on the couch while David tuned the TV to a classic movie channel. The storm outside rumbled low and the power flickered briefly. When it steadied, Maya let out a relieved laugh. "Close one." David chuckled. "Yeah, maybe Ez should light some candles just in case," she joked. "You're always prepared," David said, with a smile. "That's one of the things I admire about you." His words hung in the air longer than expected. Maya felt her heart skip slightly. She brushed it off later that night as she lay in bed. Her thoughts kept circling back to that moment. There was something about David. His calmness, his way of listening that comforted her in a way she hadn't realized before. In the following days, those feelings grew. She found herself noticing things. The way his eyes crinkled when he smiled, the thoughtful. The way he remembered her favorite snacks. The way he always checked if her car tires were properly inflated before she left for work. Confused and unsettled, Maya tried to push those feelings aside. Yet the more she resisted, the more her heart clung to those moments. Those quiet, unspoken exchanges that left her feeling safe, seen, and cared for. One evening, while they were sorting laundry together, Maya found herself stealing glances at David, noticing how his sleeves were rolled up, how his focus lingered on folding. Her clothes, neatly like it, mattered. "Hey," David said suddenly, breaking her thoughts. "You've been quiet tonight." Maya hesitated, her heart racing. "I'm just thinking about what?" She swallowed hard. "Just life." David nodded, slowly sensing something deeper. "If you ever need to talk," he said softly, "I'm here." His words echoed in her mind long after she lay in bed that night. Maya knew what she was feeling wasn't simple, and it wasn't something she could easily ignore. But what scared her most was that deep down she didn't want to ignore it. Maya couldn't shake, the thoughts swirling in her mind. Each moment spent with David seemed to linger, longer than it should. She found herself seeking him out, lingering in the kitchen just a little longer if he was there. Asking questions she didn't really need answers to just to keep the conversation going. David, in his usual calm way, never seemed to notice. Or maybe he did, but he was careful not to show it. He remained, steady, thoughtful kind, always knowing when to speak and when to simply listen one evening. Maya walked into the living room to find David asleep on the couch. A book rested on his chest, his glasses still perched on his face. She smiled, softly resisting the urge to brush his hair back from his forehead. He looked peaceful, and in that quiet moment, she realized just how much comfort he had brought into her life. But comfort was turning into something more, something she couldn't control. One afternoon, David found her sitting on the back porch, lost in thought. "Rough day?" he asked, taking a seat beside her. Maya nodded. "I guess I'm just feeling stuck again." David leaned back in his chair. "You're too hard on yourself," he said. "You've been pushing yourself nonstop. Sometimes you just have to slow down." "I don't know how," Maya admitted. "You don't have to figure it all out right now." His voice was calm, steady. "Just take it one step at a time." She turned to look at him, and for a moment, everything felt different. The space between them seemed smaller, like some invisible thread was pulling. "Her closer thanks for being here," she said softly. "I always will be," he replied, without hesitation. His words felt heavier then. They should have. Maya knew there was something unspoken beneath them, something neither of them had the courage to admit. The tension grew in unexpected moments. A quiet glance across the room, a lingering silence that neither seemed to know how to break. Maya started avoiding those moments, afraid of what they might mean. One evening, a storm rolled in, shaking the windows. With bursts of wind, the power flickered before cutting out completely. David lit a few candles, placing them on the coffee table. The soft glow danced across his face, and Maya found herself watching him, longer than she should have. "You okay?" he asked, noticing her gaze. "I'm fine," she said quickly. But she wasn't. The feelings she had been fighting were becoming impossible to ignore. When David sat beside her, the air seemed to shift. The silence stretched heavy with unspoken thoughts. "I don't know what's been going on with you lately, David said carefully. "But if something's wrong—" "It's not that," Maya interrupted. Her voice trembled. "It's different." David's eyes softened. "Talk to me." Ma shook her head. "I don't know how." He reached over gently, placing his hand on hers. The warmth of his touch startled her, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she looked at their hands, his fingers resting over hers like they belonged there. "I know things have felt complicated," David said quietly. "But you mean a lot to me." His words felt like a door cracking open. One, she wasn't sure she was ready to step through. "You mean a lot to me too," she whispered. The room seemed quieter then. Before the storm, outside now just a distant murmur. Neither of them moved, but the weight of what they didn't say filled the space between them. Maya knew she couldn't keep pretending her feelings didn't exist, but what scared her more was the uncertainty of what would happen if she finally let them show. Maya couldn't escape the thoughts consuming her mind. Each time she was near David, her feelings tightened around her like a knot. She knew it wasn't right, or at least that's what she kept telling herself. But her heart refused to listen. She started avoiding him, finding excuses to stay out later or spend more time in her room. Conversations that once felt effortless now felt impossible. When David asked if she wanted to join him for dinner one evening, she forced a smile and lied about being busy. Days turned into weeks in the distance. Between them grew. David noticed the change but didn't push her for answers. He gave her space yet? His quiet concern lingered. Each time Maya caught him, watching her with that worried expression, her chest tightened. One evening, she overheard him on the phone, his voice low but clear. "I think I should stay somewhere else for a while. I don't know." Maybe it's best for both of us. Maya's stomach sank. She knew why he was saying it. He sensed something. Maybe not the full truth, but enough to know something wasn't right. The thought of him leaving terrified her more than anything. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. Memories kept flooding back. His quiet support, his thoughtful advice, the comfort he brought to her life. She couldn't imagine the house without him. The next morning, she found him packing Asmal's bag in the hallway. "You're leaving." Her voice wavered. David sighed. "I think I should give you some space. Something's been off and I don't want to make things harder." Maya felt her heart race. "You don't have to go." "I think I do." His voice was calm, but firm. She stepped closer, her breath catching. "I've been confused," she admitted and scared. "I didn't know how to handle it." David set his bag down. "Maya, whatever's been bothering you, we can talk about it." Her eyes stung with tears. "I don't know how to explain it. I just know that when you're around, I feel safe. I feel different." David's expressions oftened. But there was uncertainty in his eyes. "Maya, I know it's complicated," she said quickly, "but I can't ignore it anymore." David let out a slow breath, stepping back slightly. "I care about you, more than you probably realize," he said quietly. "But this isn't something we can rush." "I'm not asking for anything right now," Maya said. "I just needed you to know how I feel." David's gaze lingered on her for a moment longer, before he reached for his bag again. "I think some space is still a good idea," he said softly. Maya felt her heart sink. "Are you coming back?" "I will," he promised. "I just need some time to think." As he walked out the door, Maya felt the silence close in around her. For the first time in weeks, she had finally been honest. Yet somehow she felt more lost than ever. Days turned into weeks and the silence felt unbearable. Maya kept waiting for David to call or text, but the days stretched on without a word. She kept herself busy at work, yet her mind kept drifting back to him, wondering where he was, what he was thinking, and if he regretted walking away. One evening, while she was sorting through a box of old books, Maya found one of David's worn-out bookmarks tucked between the pages. She stared at it for a long time, remembering how he always carried it in his pocket. It wasn't much, just a simple strip of leather. But seeing it reminded her of how much he had been part of her life, unable to hold back anymore. She grabbed her phone and sent a message. "I miss you. Please come home." Minutes passed, with no reply. Hours turned into the next morning, and still nothing. Maya convinced herself it was over, that she had ruined everything by speaking her heart. But that evening, just as she was preparing for another quiet night alone, there was a knock at the door. When she opened it, David stood there. His face looked tired, but his eyes were soft. "I wasn't sure if I should come back," he said quietly. "I'm glad you did," Maya replied, barely able to control the emotion in her. Force, he stepped inside, setting his bag down by the door. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "I needed time to figure things out," David said. "Finally. I wasn't sure if what I was feeling was right." Maya swallowed hard, and now David let out a slow breath. "I don't have all the answers," he admitted, "but what I do know is that I've missed you, too. More than I should have." Maya felt her heart tighten. "So what does that mean?" "It means I can't pretend this isn't real," David said, "but I also know we have to. Be careful I'm not asking for anything," Maya said softly. "I just don't want to lose you." "You won't," David promised, "but we have to take this slow." Maya nodded, understanding what he meant. The feelings they shared weren't simple, And the path forward wouldn't be easy, but seeing him standing there, choosing to return, despite the uncertainty, gave her hope. In the weeks that followed, they found a quiet rhythm, shared dinners, walks through the park, and conversations that felt more open than before. David's steady presence remained, her anchor, and Maya felt safer knowing he was part of her life again. One evening, as they sat in the back porch watching the sunset, David reached over and took her hand, his fingers laced through hers, warm and certain. "I don't know where this will lead," he said quietly, "but I'm willing to find out if you are." Maya smiled, her fingers tightening around his. "I am for the first time in a long while. Everything felt right, not because they had everything figured out, but because they were willing to face it, together."